Now, I've lived in the multicultural hellscape that is London for a good 8 years now. I've encountered firsthand the wonderful varieties of restaurants, people, cultures, and of course crimes. Now, aside from the more tangibly gritty aspects of London, the incessant noise, the brutalist architecture, and of course the ever-pervading smell of shit, one thing that may escape your notice at first, particularly in a more diverse area, is an underlying sense of hostility, a gut feeling that you are somewhere that you do not belong, that you are not particularly welcome. Now, of course, as you look around at the various council billboards which celebrate practically every single culture except for white British, as you hear every variant of guttural sandspeak known to man, and strain your ears to listen for a hint of English, and your olfactory senses are assaulted by the peculiar smell of spices, salmonella and grease from one of our many choices of exotic restaurants, you will thank the gods of tolerance that you live in such a colourful and vibrant community, away from the drudgery of the coffee shops and microbreweries that are the haunt of the current year white man. Except, of course, you absolutely won't. Now, I'm not a rich man by any stretch of the imagination. I earn enough to support my family and have the occasional beer, and that suits me just fine. However, I welcome with open arms gentrification. You know, that thing where trendy white software developers on 70k a year for doing fuck all decide that they can revitalise even the shittiest urban ghettos with stupidly expensive microbreweries and pretentious coffee bars, and eventually price everyone else out of the area by artificially driving up the already extortionate property prices. Now, why would a working class man who until recently thought IPA was a football team and works 60 hours a week to scrape by possibly support gentrification parsing out the poor and unfortunate in the area he calls home? Well, the answer is quite simple. It is fucking hilarious. You see, girls and boys, when the liberal intelligentsia enter an environment in which they have been told the evil white oppressor owns and controls, and are suddenly confronted by a reality which is in fact the total opposite, one of two things happen. They take the blue pill. They continue believing that even in the most crime-ridden, poverty-stricken areas where the lowest of the white Jeremy Kyle rejects reigns king because of some notion of inherent privilege, or the reality of being in an area built for white men, by white men, dominated by every other colour except white men, gradually sinks in with them, and then they become one of us. Now, the latter is more applicable to me. I was never rich or a hipster, but I firmly believe that differences between the races were nothing more than superficial, and that quote-unquote racists were merely ignorant. And then I got stabbed. I was not seriously injured, thanks be to God. I know how to fight and managed to negate a lot of the more serious damage with feints, rolling my shoulders, and a particularly nasty bite to the face. And what sparked such a murderous reaction? Well, we bumped into each other. That's it. A minor social faux pas devolved into a fist fight, which devolved into an attempt on my life. And that gives a man a lot to think about, particularly when he remembers that in 8 years of working nightclub doors and some quite frankly fucking grim security sites, that this is the only time that anyone has not only pulled a knife on me, but attempted to kill me with it. And it was not a white man. Despite nearly all violent altercations previously, inside and outside of work, and trust me, there have been plenty, being mostly with white men. This was the start of my foray into the alt-right, because every good villain needs an origin story. And it wasn't some YouTube video that radicalised me. It wasn't listening to Richard Spencer shit out some bizarre notion of white spirituality. And it definitely wasn't some LARPing neo-pagan extolling the virtues of Odin. It was experience. It was experience and the gradual realisation that for all their talk of fearing us and the ever-growing threat of the far right, it's not us, it's them. They fucking hate us. And not only do they hate us, they have been given carte blanche to do so, be it from some self-hating, overly educated apparatchik fresh out of university, or from activist groups with dubious funding, see the ADL, or even from our media and our wider academia, who have taken it upon themselves to embark on some bizarre revisionist quest to write these people into the parts of history in which they played no part whatsoever. And what this does is this forms a myth. The same myth that our future generations will have hammered into them from primary school. The myth that we have always been a nation of diverse and never distinctly British cultures, which is actually true to some extent, given the early history of our fair island being conquered by the Romans, the Angles, the Normans, etc. But then again, to my knowledge, we were never colonised by Somalia or Pakistan. I don't recall the Nigerians building vast roads connecting our cities, but then again, maybe I'm just ignorant. This unwarranted sense of contribution and the ever-present white devil being used as a scapegoat creates quite an understandable undercurrent of resentment, which is cultured and eventually fostered into outright hostility, to the point where it's boiled over into some horrific acts of anti-white violence over the years. Such was the case of the murder of Chris Donald in 2004, or the South African farm attacks, about which most of our politicians are all but silent, yet will still gleefully denounce racism from whites and tell you that it is your hatred that is the problem, all the while fanning the flames that will one day ignite into an inferno. This is why white flight happens. The cities are hotbeds of this. Cultures which have supplanted our own are being given preferential treatment and protection by treasonous career politicians who don't see the ticking time bomb, who don't care about English children falling behind because their schools are too busy translating for foreign children whose parents never bother to teach them the language. What they do see are votes and security for their own children in their leafy white suburbs, far removed from the filth, rot and crime of the cities. And while the cities that your ancestors built are being turned into little more than urban war zones of immigrants killing each other over drugs or, funnily enough, racial hatred, it is still only the white hatred that matters. A common oppressor, a white devil, who is responsible for all of their current ills. And all the while whites believe it, and the more that European altruism and Christian morality is twisted and distorted, the more will be imported, and the cycle will continue, until, coupled with constant climate propaganda, targeted against, you guessed it, whites, encourages us not to breed, and immigrants who have no such concerns, until we eventually reach a minority status in our own countries. And if you want a little glimpse of this dark future, if you pardon the pun, again, look to South Africa. But hang on a minute, does the Holy Bible not say to treat a foreigner like a guest in your lands? Yeah, it does. And if I invite someone to my house for a couple of beers and go on Borderlands free, I expect him not to bring his entire family, shit on my carpet, rape my woman and proceed to stay forever. I expect him to behave like a guest. Now tell me, a woman clad head to toe in a black bin bag, pushing her 5 kids, looks at you with a look akin to a bulldog licking piss off a stinging nettle. Are they behaving like guests in your land, or are they in fact behaving like conquerors who hate your presence in their territory? Oh, but no, Goy, there's no such things as no-go zones. And most of you watching my channel don't need me to tell you who pulls the strings, but maybe ask one of the less initiated. If we hold all the power, then why can't we even speak about the evidence right in front of our eyes, to put 2 and 2 together and get an answer that rhymes with 2 and has the same number of letters? So what do? Do we allow ourselves to become hateful, violent, play their games against them? No, absolutely not. We are better than bestial hatred, and any acts of violence only embolden the opposition and create more crackdowns and legislation. We need to start reserving our altruism for our own, undoing the damage that has been done by years of brainwashing and hateful propaganda directed against us. We need to organise an actual political solution rather than settle for some neocon puppet of Zion who makes the occasional mouth fart about reducing immigration but does nothing to enforce it or actually benefit their white native-born supporter base. Because despite some probably quite ill-advised rhetoric to the contrary, nobody wants a race war. It's a fucking messy business and there's no guarantee of a favourable outcome. In fact, I'm imagining there will be quite a few Torvas and Uzis mysteriously ending up in the hands of the opposition. But teach your kids their actual heritage. Give them a buffer against the degeneracy that is being pushed, the lies, the revisionism. Give them an idea of a country to be proud of. Something aside from the melting pots of crime and violence and diverse range of restaurants. And most importantly, try something else, because even the most conservative status quo is doing little to prevent this. And all the while we keep voting for them, it never will. Right, well, on a more cheerful note, I'm back. I'm going to definitely up my work rate and work on the channel a bit more now that things are sorted out. Thank you to everyone who's stuck with me and has been sending me video suggestions on Twitter. That's always appreciated. I should hopefully have another one out by middle of the week. I know this one is a couple of days late, but I've had a lot to do. I was at a wedding and I've been incredibly hungover for about the past week. But yeah, until next time, you take care out there, lads.